Hi everyone, and welcome to week 5 of Vector. I'm going to go ahead and take you through everything for the week to get you comfortable with the content. So this week we are moving on to infographic design. You have a few readings and some different videos to watch, specifically ones through LinkedIn Learning. Also in the announcements area, I'm going to be giving you one of my lecture videos on how to do something called image trace, which is basically a summary of this course here on how to import your own artwork into Illustrator and how to use that function. It's handy. It does have some limitations there, so it's important to kind of know that. So this week we are finishing up the pattern project. So this past week we just finished up the concept stages, and this week we're going to be finishing up the actual digital aspect of it. So let's go ahead and look at that. So you can read through everything on your own, but what you're going to be doing, and I'll also show you the template as well, is you'll be putting your 3 patterns inside the template of your hero, secondary, and blender patterns. So in Illustrator, you'll be taking your sketches in there and you'll be fixing them up in digital format. Okay, I'll show you the template so the top part makes sense to you. So using appropriate tools, build and refine the 3 tiles using the sketches as guides. You're also going to be adding color to those patterns as a cohesive color palette. So there's a couple of things that I'm modifying here as usual. As far as the presentation, you'll be submitting back the Illustrator file to me and the PDF. So let me go over that here because there's a couple of things. The PDF is probably just fine. It says under the presentation portion of it, once you're done with the vector part of it, because of course we've only up until now dealt with sketches, you're going to save, it says save the pattern swatches as a library. You don't have to do that. If you want to do it, that's fine. It's in the LinkedIn video that y'all did, but you don't have to do it specifically for me for the course. I'm going to show you the template in a moment. So you're going to open the template file, and then you're going to be just making sure you have your digital patterns inside the document. Okay, and then you're going to give me a PDF back of your patterns. And then, of course, the written submission questions are all here. Okay, I'm not super strict on if your, last name and everything was exactly the same. It doesn't really matter to me because when I go to download your work, I can obviously see your name. So, don't beat yourself up too much with that. So let me go ahead and go back to the pattern collection and the template. So this is the AI file. So this is what you'll be bringing into Adobe Illustrator. Download it, open it, and it shows here pattern name hero pattern. So showing it a large, and also when you scale it down, the secondary pattern, what it looks like large, also what it looks like scaled down. So however you'll be making it digital, and then you can put it inside, the little square when you're finished with it. Blender pattern. And then you'll have your collection name. You can see the different patterns there. So this file back to me will be what I need for the digital portion of the pattern collection. Okay. So the next portion of the new project is the infographic project. So this week we're doing the idea generation, and then next week we'll be finishing them up. So the idea portion of it, let's go ahead and move into that. Okay, so go ahead and read over most of this on your own. I'm just going to go through a couple of things that are going to affect you. So what you're doing is you're going to be graphically in Illustrator creating a 5-step process without necessarily using text. Now I'm fine if you want to use text to enhance the illustrations. I mean, it's kind of hard to do an entire infographic without any type, to be completely honest. So I kind of always am like, if you want to use type, fine, but type should not be what carries your piece, meaning if you make a little graphic of a sandwich, I should understand it's a sandwich because it's an illustration of a sandwich versus like needing the word to clarify the drawing. You're going to want to make sure your icons and whatever you create here actually makes sense in digital format. Okay, so you're going to do a 5-step process. using simple illustration design and layout in order to communicate the necessary information. The idea generation part of this project is the preliminary design process. So this is where we're going to be doing brainstorming for the digital aspect next week. Okay, so this will go back to the LinkedIn video on infographic design. So the topic selection is what we're doing this week. So choose a topic that has at least 5 steps to the process. So for example, how to jumpstart a car, how to build your own Harry Potter wand, how to play Uno virtually. You know, kind of think creatively. Maybe think of something that you know, might have not been done before, or maybe that you have practical knowledge on. Try to be creative. You know, I've seen the smoothie, how to make a smoothie, how to make coffee, how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich like a billion times. You know, so try to get past those first initial steps. You'll be writing a list, of course. You are used to this process by now with your word list. Your visual research, you'll be creating a Pinterest board, and instead of 50 here, you're only going to need 25 visual samples for me. Of course, your color inspiration. The sketches are pretty much, what it's asking here is pretty much what I'm going to need. So it says sketches. You know, I sketch your ideas quickly on paper before working on them in a digital format. So as far as the 8.5 by 11, that doesn't really matter, but you'll want to, as far as the compositions for the entire piece, you'll want to use like one chunk of paper for that, because you're going to see this whole thing basically as a little poster. So you're going to want to have like one little rectangle that's containing your whole idea here. So you're going to sketch your illustrations for your composition. So from your word list. So sketch multiple options, at least 2 illustrations for each of the, or 2 options for the illustrations. So let's just say, I'm just going back to the making toast option. So let's just say the first one is go get the bread. You know, so you would have 2 options for the first step, which is get bread. Just kind of thinking basically here. So you're going to keep the, you know, 2 options for each of your illustrations steps. The next one, it says sketch a minimum of 3 compositions or layouts for your process. You're going to still do 3. So this would be your whole composition. So let's just say you're going to do, you know, how to clean your iPhone. So you're going to have a little, you know, it doesn't matter the page size for me as far as your thumbnails. You're going to sketch it out where you think you're going to lay things out before you go into Illustrator. So this would, you would have 3 like sketches for your whole composition. Okay, that's going to show me where you want to put your page layout, and I'll give you the feedback to the best of my ability. This class normally is very large, so I'm sure you're noticing it takes me a couple of days to get back to you. So, you know, do your best with incorporating my feedback, but I do understand if you need to move on to get things done in a timely fashion. Okay, you know, your submission in Canvas, all the things that I need are here. Something that's kind of been happening, please don't upload HEIC files. Like if you're on an iPhone, it's taking me forever to download your sketches, open them all in Photoshop, and then, you know, screen cap which thumbnails are working for me. That's taking a really long time. Okay, so let me go ahead and give you some really cool kind of examples. So, of course, Behance is awesome for infographic design and just about anything design, but they also have some really fun ideas for, this is a how-to project. You're explaining to me how to do something, and you're going to do it in a graphic format. So there's some really cool things on here to look at. I have a couple of ones pulled up specifically. So these are not all student projects, but they are basic infographics on how you could do things. And like I said, incorporate text as you wish. Most of the samples that I picked here to show you do have text in them, because every single infographic I've done basically has had text in them as well. So this one is, you know, how do I make a zine? And this is the style that they chose to have their whole composition in, the little style of like a 2 or 3 color magazine. Okay, so the first step for them is they, you know, obviously at this point, you know, this looks like Adobe Illustrator, is they're talking about how I would make a zine. What is a zine? So the first step would be choosing a format, deciding on a layout, and creating a, you know, the master and sharing it. So this isn't a 5-step process, but this is a really good example of how you could lay out your vectors. You know, if you were doing something that required a lot of text. So you can see it's got different formats here. The next one, this one I thought was really cute. Is, you know, very heavy illustration style, which is great. How you would make a pizza. You know, it's got all the steps here, which instead of numbering it, it just says preheating your oven, you know, mixing the ingredients, stirring the ingredients, and then so forth. So you can see the whole layout obviously is what you guys are doing. You know, make a fun little thing as far as your title, how to make a pizza. You know, this is showing all the ingredients that you need, and then it shows all the steps. So you can see things here that are consistent, like the illustration style is consistent. It should look like it belongs together. You know, the whole layout looks like it belongs together because they held it together with this fun little grid in the background. You know, the colors make sense, the fonts make sense. Okay, so I think I have two more. So this one I kind of showed because for me it doesn't work. There's a lot of things for me that don't work about it. So they wanted to show how you would be training at Starbucks if you were a barista. So all the steps are here on how to make hot drinks, how to brew coffee, and how they decided to show it with the cup is just little lines. So there's a lot of things here, especially for the project's perspective that we're doing. It just doesn't work, especially for us. I mean, honestly, text should be on the back burner. So because this is so text heavy, this wouldn't be an example of one that works. You know, you would want to be creating a little graphic of how to clean, or, you know, how to make ice drinks, you know, if you want to make a little ice cube. So this for me is an example of a non-successful infographic. And lastly, it was just kind of a creative example. I liked this one because this kind of encompasses the whole project and it shows it without text, because like I said, that is tough sometimes. So this one is how to paint a longboard, and it shows the longboard and it shows the multiple steps here. So, you know, it shows the first one, which is taking off the brackets, you know, sanding the board, taping the board, using a primer, painting it, and then finishing off with lacquer. So I think this one is probably one of my favorite examples for the project that we're doing because it's exactly what we're doing. It's showing an infographic with just vector and no text. Well, technically there is text. You can see it says primer and lacquer, but I mean, you know, use text as you will, as long as it's not a primary element that you would necessarily need to really understand your drawings and everything. Okay, super fun week. Everyone have a great week, and I'll see you online.